Hey there, and welcome to the UkeStuff channel, and welcome to this full UkeGuide review of the D'Angelico Premier Bayside CS Concert Ukulele. It is carried exclusively through Guitar Center and Musician's Friend, and it was on sale quite a while ago on one of their Musician Friend's stupid deals of the day. And I had seen it before and didn't buy it. When it came up the second time, I made sure to buy one. They also have a soprano model that shows up from time to time, but as I'm a concert player, this one really appealed to me. And again, I play everything, but my preferred scale of choice for most of my instruments is concert. So if I'm going to spend my own money to buy an instrument, usually it's going to be a concert. So it is kind of a really neat looking laminate ukulele, and we're going to take a further look at this. In fact, what we're going to do first of all is we're going to look at some subjective issues. Then we're going to look at the specifications, and then I'll come back with a summary and a full UkeGuide rating for this instrument. All right, let's begin with the subjective issues. These sell at Guitar Center or on Musician's Friends for $149.99, although occasionally Musician's Friend offers these at a much discounted price, around the $65 to $60 range. So it is worth waiting for if you're interested in one of these. They've come back a couple times, as has Soprano model. So it is sort of a mid-level, and I really do consider in the ukulele world mid-level starting at like $400 to $500, to be honest with you. But in terms of a standard ukulele that the casual player is going to play, this would be sort of a mid-level instrument beyond the beginner, although a beginner could definitely play it. So $149.99. Now, in terms of value, unfortunately, the value isn't there. It has some really cool features that we'll talk about that do make it worth a bit more than your average $60 ukulele that is being sold on, for example, Amazon or eBay, or your Camis or your Acklot or whatever. There are some upgraded features here for a laminate that do make it worth more than that. However, for the price point of $150 with no included accessories, you get no gig bag, you get no extra strings, you get no tuner. What you see is what you get. So with that in mind, the value is really off. So the price is higher normally at $149.99 than the value you're getting with the instrument. Now let's talk about the overall build of the instrument. Generally, it's really well built. I only have one complaint about it. Again, we'll talk about some of these when we get to appearance, but it has some really nice features. Everything seems well put together. It's a standard mahogany instrument. In fact, if anything, it looks a little bit like a dog hair mahogany, a little bit more than other ukuleles that I've seen. With that all in mind, the only negative I have experienced, other than some sharp fret ends, which I dealt with, which is pretty common where I live right now inside of my house, where I have all my ukuleles, it is getting close to 20% humidity, relative humidity. So things dry out here, even though I keep them humidified. instruments such as this, that's a laminate, I generally don't, but all of my solid woods definitely have a humidifier or 2 or 3 in there to protect them. But the one goofy part about this one is right here. It has this joint in the neck there instead of putting it up here above the nut. And what I've been told is that that impacts the vibrations of the instrument fully in a negative way. So most manufacturers say that that joint should be above the nut so that the transference of any energy from the nut can make it all the way down to the soundboard without interruption and having to go through yet a different grain pattern. I don't know how much that's going to take away, but for an instrument that's selling at the $150 level, which again is not hugely expensive on the spectrum of ukulele, but it is more than your $60 entry-level ukulele where that doesn't even happen. So that's the only weird piece with the instrument. Now, the other thing I like to do is to let you see what's happening on the inside, so let's go do that. All right, let's take a look at the interior of this D'Angelico concert ukulele. Okay, what we can see is a brace on the bottom. We can see that it has a tail block, a brace running up the middle, and there's your pins sticking through because it's a pin bridge. Otherwise, the build is pretty clean, very little glue mess. Just a little bit on the bridge support up there. All right, let's take a look at the upper bout. All right, looking at our upper bout, you can see another horizontal brace there. You can see another vertical brace coming in on the side there. You can see the neck support and the neck block up there. Very little glue mess. Very, very clean build. Very nicely done. And that's a quick look at the interior of our D'Angelico concert ukulele. All right, we're back. Pretty clean build overall, with the exception of that one weird joint on the neck. Now let's talk about the appearance. The eye-catching thing is going to be the headstock, and I'm not actually sure if that's just a paint or a thin veneer of another wood. I'm not sure. That draws your eye, as does sort of that arrowhead pattern on the inside, but really it's that little extra metal nib there in the design of this that makes it so unique, and that's pretty cool. I think a lot of people will be attracted to this instrument just because of this headstock. That headstock, however, is not worth the additional price over other ukuleles with similar features or similar sound. So that headstock alone does not make the instrument worth it. As we move down to the body, it has kind of a very cool double rosette around the sound hole, which is kind of neat. And then it has black binding, no purfling. And then the other really eye-catching feature not only is the bridge, but the pin bridge in that sort of ornate style. So the instrument overall looks really attractive, and it really is a winner. If you bring this to like an ukulele group, people will be interested in it. And it's almost a pity that they don't offer a solid wood version of this, because I think people would be interested in a solid wood ukulele with these same sort of styling cues. Now let's talk about availability. If you want one of these, you can go to a Guitar Center and see if they have it in stock. You can order it online and have it delivered to a Guitar Center, or order it online and have it delivered to you. You can also get it at Musician's Friend, and as I mentioned, occasionally they go on sale at Musician's Friend on that stupid deal of the day. But don't forget that Guitar Center and Musician's Friend and a number of other companies are all part of one larger company, including Woodwind Brasswind, for example. Now let's talk about playability. Overall, it has a really good setup, no complaint there. I did have to deal again with some sharp fret ends, which is pretty common again for me to have to deal with. The neck is not overly deep, but it still is rounded. So I would personally like to see a little bit more of a flat profile, but it's not bad by any means of imagination. So if you like a thinner, narrow, but rounded neck, this is a great option for you. And I think it's really easy to play. It has a pretty wide spacing. It's approaching 30 millimeters at the first fret. I think partially because of the way that these strings are spaced out at the bottom. They stretch out really quick on a 35 millimeter nut. And you're not too incredibly close to the edge of the fretboard with the first and fourth strings. So overall, I enjoy playing this. This is an instrument that I'm probably not going to turn around and sell. This is the one that I'm going to keep, and it's going to stay in my collection because I enjoy playing it. Now let's talk about sound quality. Overall, the sound is warmer. It's not very bright. It is balanced, and there's lots of sustain, but it's on the low end. So we'll take a look at this in a moment with Tonal Energy Tuner, but if I play a chord, the sustain just stopped. There's a ton of sustain with this laminate instrument, but it's all in the lower end, so it makes it feel a little caught. Now, I think that could also be connected to the strings. I will definitely try with some fluorocarbons, which generally are brighter sounding, so I will give that a shot. But overall, it has a very pleasing tone, and it's fun to play. So if you buy one of these at $150, yeah, you're not getting the value that you could from some other models, but you're also getting an instrument that plays pretty well and sounds pretty good for a laminate instrument with a lot of sustain, change of strings, and I think it might even be better yet. One of the things I like to do is let you see what I'm hearing. So I use the app Tonal Energy Tuner to play a chord on a GCA instrument like this one. I play the C chord, and I let you see what happens with the original strike of the chord and what happens with the sustain. So here we go. What I'd really like to point out there is that you can really see the sustain of the instrument on the low end, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens when I put some other strings on it. All right, let's go over the specifications for the instrument. It is a concert ukulele, and the scale length is exactly 15 inches from nut to saddle. It has 19 frets, 14 to the body, and there are side marker position dots as well as position marker dots on the front. The body style is a traditional double bout, and the soundboard and back and sides are made out of laminate mahogany. The fretboard is made out of marble, I believe is what it says on the website, and it is not a radius fretboard in any way. The bridge, I believe, is made out of rosewood, and you do have that pin bridge, which is sort of unique. Although there are other companies that do so, even in the same general price range, such as the Islander laminate ukuleles. The nut and saddle appear to be new bone to me, and the saddle is compensated. The finish is a satin, and I really like the pattern, sort of again the dog hair mahogany look that they decided to use for this ukulele. The instrument with this intricate headstock is a little bit longer than normal. It's 24.25 inches, and its weight is super light, which I think is part of the reason why it's so resonant. 14.7 ounces only. And it's really well balanced, even with that extra headstock up there. So a very light, resonant ukulele. It has unbranded, open-geared tuners on the back that work just fine. The setup was really decent. 0.5 millimeters at the first fret, 2.25 millimeters at the 12th fret, and the nut width is 34.58 millimeters, just under 35. Now what's going to make this one a little bit different is the combination of the thickness of the neck as well as the string spacing. So the string spacing at the first fret between strings was 8.65 millimeters between each string, 29.50 millimeters G to A. That's pretty spacious. And again, I think that's because of the way that the strings sort of fan out as they approach the bridge down there with those pins. And then I always measure the depth of the neck at the third fret. Just figured where's a good spot to do that. And we go from the top of the strings to the bottom of the neck, and that's 20.29 millimeters, which isn't the most narrow that I've measured, but it is pretty thin, and the profile, that C shape, is pretty tight and skinny. It's not chunky. It's very narrow. Now, again, I would like that a little flatter yet, but still, nonetheless, the neck profile is a little different than you'd normally have with your sort of entry level to mid level ukulele under the price of $300. So let's summarize the instrument. This D'Angelico ukulele is one of a couple ukuleles that are carried exclusively by the Guitar Center family, for sure Guitar Center and Musician's Friend. You can occasionally find it for sale on a stupid deal today from Musician's Friend. It has perhaps the most interesting headstock in the industry, with the exception, I think, of my Flight Spirit or the Flight Royal series, as well as Ko-Aloha. I think both have very interesting headstocks. This one's right up there with a very attractive and different headstock, and some people will buy it just for that reason. Now, it's a decent laminate ukulele with good sustain, good sound. It's super light. However, it is overpriced for what you get because you get nothing else with it. The features here that are cool, again, like the pin bridge and this headstock, are not worth the premium in price that you're paying for it, nor is the sound. They're all good. They're all great. It would probably add to a higher price, but $149 is a little steep for that price tag. All that said, if you look at this and love that headstock, perhaps love that bridge, and say, I want to buy one of those, I wouldn't fault you for it because it plays well, it sounds good, and it looks really cool. So maybe that's worth the extra price premium to you, and that would be okay too. If you can find it on sale, that's even better. Now, this would be a great ukulele for a first or second ukulele, or just an addition to your collection. And if you do buy one, just remember, you're going to have to get some other things for it. You're going to have to buy a gig bag and so on, especially if it's someone's first ukulele. They're going to have a few more things that they'll need to buy with it that are often included at a much lower price. Now, what I do is I give every ukulele that I review a score between 0 and 5 ukuleles. And this one plays well, it sounds decent, it's a really well put together instrument with the exception of that little weird joint in the neck. That all said, because of the value issue that knocks it down just a little bit. So I would give this a 4 out of 5 ukuleles. If it came with a gig bag at that price, I think it would probably be a 4.5. I don't think I'd give it more than a 4 without that gig bag or any accessories, especially at that price point. Now, if you can find this at that $60 to $65 price point from Musician's Friend when it goes on sale as a stupid deal today, then by all means, I think you're looking at like a 4.5, knowing that you're going to have to spend some more money to get a gig bag. But other than that, it's very, very decent laminate ukulele, just overpriced for what it's at. All right, thanks so much for watching this video. I hope you're having a great day, and I'll be back soon with some more Uke stuff for you.